And I think people are kind of craving for that content right now.
Yeah.
You know, I think they want to see that there's people behind what they're watching. And being able to showcase that is, I think, an extra level of trust that you bring almost to your audience.
It's authenticity. We talk a lot about authenticity on this podcast, and now especially with video being AI created, is that the next step? Is AI going to start creating behind the scenes footage of AI videos? Like that would be wild.
The BTS of AI, I don't think is going to be very unique because it's just somebody sitting at a computer.
Right.
Hello, and welcome to Think Fresh, a podcast brought to you by Novo Marketing's Collective Creative. Coming to you from our Ideas Institute and here to talk about all things marketing. Insights on new trends, innovative ideas, and marketing tools you can use in your day-to-day life. And whatever else we deem relevant. I'm Jen Newman, Novo CEO, and your host.
And I'm Ryan Schoenfeld, Head of Digital, Account Manager, and your other host. Today, we're going to talk about creating quality video content. And we're joined by our senior video producer, Andrew Ravera. Andrew, welcome.
Hey.
Now, you might have heard his voice before from some producer notes or other things, but Andrew has been behind the camera and the microphones for every single episode of Think Fresh, right?
He was on one.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Our predictions episode.
Predictions and trends, yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So,
what was your prediction?
I don't remember. Oh, wait. No, what was it?
It was AI, video, and discernment, right?
Yeah, discernment. But my prediction was that there was going to be a fully featured AI like movie created at some point in this year.
I'm terrified it'll happen.
Well, Andrew, thank you for officially joining us for your first full episode of Think Fresh, this side of the cameras and the microphone.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's really cool to be on this side. It's funny. I set up everything today, and I spent extra time on my angle to make sure I had a really good side.
The lighting is especially nice today.
Yeah, it's weird.
So Andrew got a little sun, got some tan. You were just on vacation, right?
Yeah, well, Becca and I went to Oregon, and it's the second time I've been to Oregon, but it's the first time Becca's been, and I was really excited for her to go because I love pine forests. That's like my... I don't know. It's like my...
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It smells amazing. Yeah. It smells like a freaking candle.
Yeah, there's just something about them. They're just magical. You walk through them. It's just... There's like a mysteriousness to them.
Have you been to the place where it's the scenery from the Goonies, like the rocks on the
Astoria?
Shore? Yes.
So we went to Astoria, and we actually got to go see the Goonies house.
No!
So I have a photo of the Goonies house.
It's the best movie.
You can walk up and take photos of it, and it looks literally the same.
I did not know that was in Oregon. The Goonies is one of my favorite movies. My sisters used to make me do the truffle shuffle.
Oh, God.
When I was younger.
Can you do it on the podcast?
I will not be doing it on the podcast, but if I went there, I would definitely pose on the stump on the other side of the fence and take a picture doing the truffle shuffle.
I was so excited to show that movie to my kids, and they were probably still a little too young for it, but I thought they could handle it, except do you know what the first word in that movie is? Shit. And my kids are Anna's probably 5, so Grace is probably 8, and Doug just looked at me and he's like, nice. So yeah.
I got curious because I thought I heard this. I just checked it, and it is correct. They are currently in development of the Goonies 2 using portions of the original cast as parents.
I don't know. I don't like it.
I'm on board.
I
am aggressively on board for this.
I don't know. I will say Top Gun, the second one was delightfully cheesy and corny and did hit all the right notes, so maybe, but I just feel like we're just out of ideas. And
I bet it'll be very similar. It's they're being evicted or they can't live in their current apartment or something. It's they're just going to recreate it and do the exact same thing.
Probably without some of the more problematic aspects of that movie.
Yes, just cut those out. Well, we talked about nostalgia, and that's a very common trope right now in some videos. But Andrew, I want to get right into it.
Let's do it.
When we're talking about video, as an account manager here, it's we just need a camera and we can show up. You've trained us over the past 10 years of us working together. That is not how it works. Can you talk through Novo's process for creating a video a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. And this kind of stems from back when I was in college. It was something I learned, and it's something called the train. And it's not an actual choo-choo train, But I like to use metaphors. The last time I was on this show, I used a food metaphor. I think it just helps explain things. And the train is this whole concept about a narrative. It's the driving force behind what your story is. So I'm going to kind of play off of that a little bit and kind of add more cars as we go and explain kind of the process, because like you said, the video process it's a little scary. There's a lot to it. And if you don't do it all correctly, then you can kind of get derailed essentially.
Yeah. And you are then there with the client or with the talent, and you're trying to, you always make it all work, but you don't want to have to be solving all of those things on the fly. You want to be able to pre-plan. You want to be efficient with everyone's time, their dollars.
Because some things will go wrong. Like, you need to be focused on that when it happens, not whether you didn't plan for something.
Yeah, that's something I think there's always going to be something that goes wrong, because there's just so many moving components to video production. We've learned here that you just have to like go with the flow. That's just something that we've learned to kind of accept. Yeah. And I think that no matter what size production you have, it's gonna that's how you have to look at it.
So even those smaller scale social content videos, still it's a train. It's a train of some sort.
It's all like you can bring everything back to this what we're gonna explain today. It all kind of like works no matter how big. And I think it's better to start small scale and then go bigger with it, because it'll work at all levels of production.
Yeah. And you mentioned the train is a metaphor for the narrative, right? How do you determine like what the narrative is, especially when people are trying to cram as much as they possibly can into one video?
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier today. I think it boils down to, usually when we go into a project, we kind of have an idea of the narrative. Like the client has an idea of what they want to say or what direction they want to go with. But I think the narrative, when you boil it down, it's the most simplest way to explain what you're trying to explain. If you have that simple narrative, it doesn't matter what you throw at it. As long as it goes back to that same narrative, then it's all going to work. So you just have to make sure that all of the components that you're throwing at it, like if you've got 2 or 3 extra stories, you just have to make sure that those 2 or 3 extra stories are coming back to that original narrative.
And if they don't, then you've got the basis for your next 2 or 3 videos.
Exactly.
And I think, you talk about you've trained us over the years to do the pre-planning that's needed for video. We have, I think, in many cases trained our clients to think long-term in these aspects. And when they want to have 2 or 3 differing narratives in a video, for us to be able to say, look, you should always be building a video library, right? Those are all valid narratives, but if you put more than one narrative in a video, you are absolutely going to lose the thread or derail yourself, to use your metaphor. And I think most people understand that now. Video used to be, and video is still an investment, but at one point in time, video was not, it was something that you maybe got to do once in a great while. It took a lot. You often had to fly in crews. And I think that most people understand now that it needs to be a regular part of their storytelling as a business or an organization or a community, and that you can't do it all in one video.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think both Annie, our other video producer, we kind of think about these types of things on the fly. So we were on a shoot yesterday with a client, and we're compiling a bunch of footage, and they kept kind of like throwing a bunch of stuff at us. And we're like, okay, that would make a really good series. This would make a good series, and this would make a good series. So it's just kind of training your brain to just think about what's the narrative and what do we want to say. And exactly like you said, if you throw way too many things at it, then the audience is going to be like, what am I watching? What am I looking at?
They won't remember what the point was
exactly.
at the end of the video.
Exactly.
So like what you're saying, when you're trained to do this, you realize you don't have to take everything from that shoot and put it in one video.
No.
It can be multiple. So then you can have multiple narratives, multiple potential campaigns for this one piece.
Exactly. And I think that also helps the client, because then they see the value in having a video shoot where we can compile multiple different things in one session, and now we have like this library built up, and now we've got like months of stuff that we can like use.
What if you don't have the narrative? What if you don't have the locomotive of the train?
You derail.
Yeah. I mean, simply put, I don't think we'd start a project with a client if we didn't know what their end goal was. I think it can be very obvious when you see some of the more amateur video out there, or even some of the creator-led video out there can be a little unfocused. And I don't mean the camera focus. Right. I mean the theme, the narrative is unfocused, and you lose interest really quickly because you can't follow it.
Yeah.
Might just be like, oh, that's a pretty shot, or that's a cool shot. But then you're like, what did I just watch?
What are they even talking about?
Without a narrative, your video is a bunch of really pretty shots, like you said. But with a narrative, you have meaning, and people will remember what they're watching.
In the industry, they call that the big idea, right? Your narrative, the big idea of the campaign or of your video. So you've got the big idea, that is your narrative. What are the next steps to make sure that everything goes smoothly day of? Like, we're still talking planning, right? We're not to the point of going to the shoot yet.
Exactly. Yeah, you need a couple more steps in there before you get to the shoot. And the next step we're going to call the coal car. Or this is your pre-production phase, and pre-production has a lot of stuff in it. You've got, this is where you take the narrative that you've created, usually from our writers. We take that narrative, and now we're going to actually bring visuals to it. We're going to storyboard it out. We're going to sit down and talk about how do we want the camera to look in this scene to the next scene. What camera lenses are we going to use? What lighting are we going to use? I usually make a lighting diagram. There's all these components that you figure out in this stage, and it's extremely essential because this will set you up for the next stage.
What's a lighting diagram?
So
have I ever seen one of those, or is that something that the video team uses themselves? I'm like, I don't know if I've seen a lighting diagram from the AM standpoint.
Yeah, it's a cool feature. They're called aperture lights, and there's an app that you can use with them, and you can essentially put together like a little diagram, and it has little like icons and stuff. So I can take this scene right here.
Yeah.
I've put a lighting diagram together for this scene, and I can put where the camera placement is. And I like to do those because it just makes it easier day of for the people who aren't in my mind.
Right.
So it gets the things out of my head onto paper so they can see it and they can be like, okay, so this light needs to go over here. This camera needs to be set up here. Okay. This camera needs to have this lens on it. We need the actors here, here, and here. We need neg fill over here, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is you can add. And they just basically just give you a diagram of the scene. So then you're not like, so then I don't have to like tell everybody, okay, I want the camera over there. It just basically gives everybody a visual indication of how I want things set up.
More of that pre-planning, so you don't have to be doing it live, day of. You can go in prepared. And also, you can repeat this. Like we have a similar lighting setup for every one of our episodes, and that brings some continuity to the video.
Yeah, I literally have a document with all of the camera settings for all three cameras that we're shooting with, the settings for the light and the mics. So if I'm gone, Annie can be like, set it up, and we're good to go. So it just makes things, like you said, very repeatable, and it's just, then I don't have to remember what settings did I use on the last podcast.
Right. And the I don't know if you mentioned this, but this is where scouting also comes into play, right?
Yeah, scouting's a huge component, especially when you get in bigger productions. Like if you're going to somebody's house or you're going to a building or whatever it is, and you need to set up for interviews or scenes, you need to know what the lighting's going to be like, what the conditions are in there. Can I turn the lights off? Where are the plugs? What is going to be in the scene? So I can ask them, hey, that like trash can over there, can I move that out of the scene day of? Or that like Coke machine around the corner is making a bunch of racket. Can we unplug that for a couple hours? So this is where you can kind of go in and make a huge list of potential failures before they fail. And it just helps out a lot with day of the shoot because like Jen had mentioned earlier, you're going to deal with
Something's
hiccups.
going to go wrong.
Something's going to go wrong.
Yeah. Speaking of day of event failures, there's probably going to be some buzzing in the background of this because we work in a 100-plus-year-old building, and something is going on work-wise in the basement that is pretty noisy right now. So, that's just something we deal with. But like when you think about like day of event failures that you couldn't account for or couldn't plan for, what's one of your best stories?
So this was a huge one, and it could have actually ruined the entire day shoot. You were actually on it, and Annie was on it.
I'm nervous. What is it?
It was the We Are Waterloo series when we went over to Waterloo, and we were shooting at a place called Basil Pizza, and the entire block's electricity went out.
Yeah.
You can't account for that, right? Luckily, the lights that we had battery power. So we were able to continue shooting because we had rented these lights, and I was like, there might be something that would be like just a good thing to have. I was just kind of like pre-thinking about things. I'm like, I might be in situations where we need a battery power.
Yeah.
And it came in clutch because the power didn't come on until we got literally done with that shoot.
This is why we had to buy a van for all our video equipment, because it was taking 2 or 3 cars to get all the equipment and the people needed to these things because of that, because we have to think about battery packs, because we have to bring stands, because we can't assume that things are going to go as planned.
Yeah, it's backups for your backups is kind of my like train of thought when I go into a shoot where I'm not in the office. Because when I'm here, it's like, we can just go into the studio and grab another battery. But when you're in Dubuque or Des Moines or wherever it may be, you can't just be like, oh man, run to the hardware store, grab me a Sony camera battery. They don't make them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why that's all part of the pre-planning, right?
Yes.
We've got a lot of gear, and you have to know which gear to bring. It's like, this lens has to match this camera, all of these pieces. This light has to match this. I have to have the battery packs. There's so many pieces that go into it.
And that really like is the fuel for bringing the story together. I think it's kind of like the hidden thing.
So we've got checklists for all of our gear, our screens, our cameras, all of that. That's the technical side. But from the stylistic side, the actual video and the artistry of it, how do you plan for all of that?
That's a lot to do in the storyboarding as well. I think it kind of goes hand in hand almost. There's the technical side where you have to know all the settings that you're going to use for a camera. But then that artistic side comes out in when you storyboard things. So how are you going to bring visuals and life to your narrative? And this is where you a storyboard's almost like a visual playground. You get to test things out and see, what would look cool? What transition would look cool here? What new camera angle can we introduce into this to make it not normal, but like a unique angle or perspective that the viewer isn't like used to seeing?
Yeah.
So that storyboard area is kind of where you're bringing in that like creativity, but then a lot of it also just happens day of. Like there's inspiration that just happens when you're out there in the field, and sometimes Annie will be like, "Whoa, what if we do it like this?" And I'm like, "Oh, we can do it like that. Let's do it."
Yeah.
And that's also the fun part is you do all this like immense pre-planning to make this production happen, and then the fun part is when you get there day of, and then even more inspiration hits. So there is a balance though, but you need to have that like technical side nailed down so you know what you're shooting and how to shoot it correctly, proper exposure, yada, yada, yada. But then if you've got that nailed down, that's gives more space for being creative.
Yeah, because if you didn't plan for if you weren't ready with everything else, you wouldn't have the time to then get those bonus shots or those bonus creative angles and all of that.
Yeah, you'd be running around figuring out like, how do I what's the setting I need for this, or what's the whatever it is.
Completely off the rails.
Yeah, completely off the rails.
Can you think of, so we talked about the best day of failures. Are there any pieces like that where you got that special shot? I have one that I can think of, but I want you to go first.
Yeah, I think, and this was just a happenstance. I didn't know I wanted this moment until the moment was happening. And we were in Dyersville, and we got to shoot with the Ghost Players at the Field of Dreams. And I've seen that movie, and I've seen them coming out of the corn, and I got to go be a ghost player and come out of the corn with them. I didn't actually come out of the corn because they wouldn't let me, but I got to go be in the corn with them and be a part of that moment. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I literally had goosebumps. It was the coolest moment because I was like recreating movie scenes in my head day of. It was like I don't know. It was such a fun day of filming because it like wasn't work to me. I was just like, oh, what's that one scene? I can recreate that and go and do this. So that was like one of the more special moments that I've had probably in the field, and being able to do this job is doing that.
You got to experience all of the wonders of being a ghost player.
Yep.
This was a decade ago, in Indian Creek Nature Center shoot. We were there. They were talking about their preschool, I think, and there was a teacher playing with the kids, and they were in like the butterfly garden or near it, and all of a sudden a butterfly just comes up and lands on someone's finger.
Yep.
That was insane. I wish I'd been there for it.
It's those little moments. If you're prepared, you have all your stuff, the creativity just kind of flows and happens because you've got your settings nailed in, you know the narrative, you know what you're there to get, and then you can just show up day of and be creative.
But also keep the camera rolling, right? Keep the camera rolling all the time because you never know what you'll get. And sometimes when people don't think about the camera rolling, they're a lot more natural.
Yeah, so. And that's an art form in itself, is getting people comfortable on camera and kind of being a ninja with the camera in a sense. It's kind of hard, but when you can be that fly on the wall, like you said, you get those like really unique moments that really bring out the like heart of what you're trying to tell.
But it's also, I think, one of the biggest challenges when you're interviewing people is, they see that camera and they just kind of freeze up. They could be the most polished public speaker, and that camera just freaks them out. I mean, I kind of like, I'm just not thinking about what's happening over there. I've adjusted, but like it's really hard when you're being interviewed to speak coherently and pull yourself together.
We're kind of intimidating. I'm not going to lie. We bring a lot of equipment. There's a lot of big things. Because they're probably used to, most people are used to like phones.
Yeah. And there's a light in your face like it's the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. So. And there's a ton of stuff. There's like a microphone over top of you. There's like multiple people there. And the funniest look is when somebody comes in and they're just like, oh my gosh.
They're like, you're not taking this on an iPhone, are you?
Yeah. They're like, I didn't realize it was this big of a production.
And you're like, we go cinematic for a lot of things. We bring it in. But I think that's one of the benefits. I think you had mentioned, Andrew, or Jen, you said it. Keep shooting. Keep shooting. If you're there saying cut, if Annie's back here yelling cut at us every single time we have to re-record something, that would freak me out. That would make me very nervous. So
She's probably going to start doing that now.
I think that's part of it. I think that the part of being comfortable with it is getting used to it. Then you can realize like, oh, they're just cameras. It really is a phone. Essentially, like don't overthink it. And from being at so many shoots with our video team, you guys do a great job of trying to, like you said, be a ninja. Annie, when she's interviewing, she makes them feel very comfortable right away. And I think that that's a skill set that you just develop over the years and you can't just get. So Andrew, we talked about all of the planning, all of the pieces that go into it. Now it's day of, right? It's production, it's happening. Talk through that car, if you will, our production car.
Yeah, the day of, if you've done all your pre-planning, you've got your narrative locked down, and you've got your location scouted, all your gear packed up and ready to go, production should just kind of come together. And, we've been kind of talking about it. That's when you can get those really cool moments that really bring out that narrative that you're looking for, and those special times where you can't plan for.
Always be shooting when you're on. Oh, yeah. When you're on.
I don't always keep the camera recording, but there's a lot of footage that comes back.
Oh, I can only imagine. And you have to, the other side, if you keep cutting, you have to remember to turn it back on, and you don't want to just be like, oh, I wasn't recording for that. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes.
I mean, it has to happen to everybody,
yes,
right?
But it's happened to
he
me.
Answers reluctantly.
Yes, I'm not perfect, but yes, it's happened to me. I think it happens to everybody.
Of course.
It's one of those things you get in the moment and you're thinking about so many things, or you get really excited, and sometimes I'll have hit record before something, and then I'll hit it again thinking that I'm hitting record. And then I go to do it, and I didn't get it. But I'm usually pretty quick on catching it up. Cameras nowadays have a lot of like indicators, like red lights around the screen. So it's like, hey, you're not recording.
And you're like, hey, there's stuff going on.
Yes, it's happened to me, but
That was a really great take. We're going to do it again.
Right,
Yes.
just one more time.
Just one
One
more
more
that's
time.
actually one of the tricks I use.
just to have it.
Yeah.
Just to
Oh,
have
I've
it.
heard you say it.
Now-
It's not always because I've like not gotten a shot. It's more because we like to get multiple takes.
Yeah. Now we know code.
Yeah.
I like it. So this is like where everything starts to physically take their shape. So we're actually getting the footage. Then what comes after that? Like, what are all the steps that go into, I guess that's post-production?
Yeah, then it's your post-production car. You've gone out and you've collected all of the items that you need to create this story, and now it's time to bring it in and actually piece it together. And this is kind of where the magic kind of happens, is in the editing, because you're going to be adding, visual effects, sound effects, music, your voiceover, your color correcting, which is one of my favorites. And then Annie, our other video producer, is great at piecing together the actual story, because when we go and get an interview, it's going to be, an hour or 2 hours long. So you have to kind of cut that up and piece it together and take things out that aren't actually needed for your narrative. So you can kind of see how these cars are stacking up, and you just have to keep going back to that narrative and making sure that when you're all the way down here in post-production, you're still balancing that out.
Yeah. And all of these pieces, all the pre-planning, it makes it, I would assume it makes it almost easier to get that base, right, of the video, but then you get to add in all of the other bonuses, all the magical shots that you didn't plan for, that you happen to come across.
Yeah. If you've done your work in the previous stages, then post-production should kind of just come together.
Yeah.
Because you have all your components. Now you just have to like place them in order. There is definitely, it's not that easy.
Of course.
I don't want to
I'm
make it sound like
oversimplifying.
I don't want to make it sound super simple, because there is an incredible art form to it. It's where you can really have a fun time playing with all the visual effects and adding in the extra components to really bring something to life.
And there have been situations where, unfortunately, if you don't have the footage, you can't use footage you don't have. That's why it's great that we get so much when we're there. But also, I've seen some amazing shots that Annie pulls in, like some historic artifacts, scans of old photography, things like that. That's those magical pieces that, of course, you plan for it. But once they're talking about something, once the talent is talking about it, it's like, ooh, what else can we get?
And that's a great opportunity to take the camera off the person for a moment, too. It's just from a visual standpoint of not only providing context and maybe history, but also kind of giving that visual break to people.
Yeah, and that's another like area where you don't necessarily plan for those things. Sometimes it just comes to you during an edit. Like you have this storyboard all pieced out, and you're like, okay, this is how we're gonna do it. But then you get in the editing bay, and maybe something doesn't quite work, or you just need another component, like you said, like some history thing that like shows some component that the person on screen is talking about. So this kind of gets back to the technical side. Like if you've got your technical nailed down, then you can kind of be creative with it. So that's, again, it kind of comes when you're in the edit.
So, Andrew, we talked about all of this planning, all of these pieces that go into it, and something that I've been seeing more of from the De Novo standpoint is us getting not just photo behind the scenes, but also some video behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You have to plan for all of that, right? Or do you plan for all of that? Or is that where we're just there getting what we can get?
Of course we plan for it. What are you talking about?
Of course.
Well, moving right along, we added a new cart to the train. We call it the caboose.
Aw.
And this is we've recently been doing this where we add what's called BTS, so behind the scenes. We've been messing around with showcasing our process during the day of. And we do plan for this on larger shoots. Sometimes on smaller shoots, we'll bring somebody else to show the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes, if that makes sense. because there is so many components that go into this. Some of the setups are super elaborate, and it gives the viewers and our team a really cool insight into how video production works. Because you have, multiple cameras with multiple lights, and there's cool rigs sometimes that we build out. I like to tout my own horn here because I built a cool rig with a box and did like a up through a bag shot. And
Oh, right.
That was a really fun one.
Yeah, and like,
But did we know that we were gonna do that behind the scenes video when you
we
were
did.
shooting? Yeah.
We planned to do because I built this rig and I was like, this
Shout
would
out
be a
New
fun
Pie,
one to do.
New Pie video.
Yeah,
Yes.
shout out New Pie video. This will be because you see these shots, and my mind immediately goes to, well, how did they do that?
How'd they do that?
So we've been messing around with a lot of this, showing how we did that, because sometimes it's super simple, or sometimes it's super elaborate.
Yeah. And like we said that this could be video for de novo, but also this gives us the opportunity to create additional content, behind the scenes content for our clients when we're there filming as well. It's like, hey, your customers, they're going to see the final product.
Yeah.
But what if either before you post it, have a teaser about it, or after you post it, have something that says like, this is how we made it. This is how we got the shot. Something cool like that, I think, is a cool opportunity that we've had.
It's a great way to follow up, and I think they also like it because they're not necessarily in the spot themselves, so we can kind of get footage of them day of in the on set doing certain things. So it gives them kind of a little like in on, hey, I was there, I did this.
Yeah.
They might brag to their coworkers like, "Hi, you weren't there, I was," type of thing.
That makes me think of I go back to this OK Go video. This was 20 years ago at this point, where they're on the treadmills and they're doing all of this, and it's one shot. The video itself was amazing, but then they showed a video of how they were doing, like they showed just another angle of the actual camera crew and all of that, doing all of that. Like that's another huge part that is, from the consumer standpoint, can sometimes be more entertaining than the final product. I hate to say that, but it is, because it's sometimes crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you watch the final version and you're like, oh man, that's really cool. But like I said, your mind kind of goes to, well, how did they do that? And when they come out with these extra components showcasing how they created this, whatever it was, and it's like, wow, that's extremely interesting. I love it. I know our producer Annie likes it too, because we, as video producers, are always trying to figure out new ways to like create things, and it gives us ideas on how to rig up a different camera or light something differently, or whatever it may be.
I love a good DIY rig on something, and I think we've talked about this. I don't even know if it's still a channel out there, but Shitty Rigs, which is just crazy things that people have duct taped together to get a shot of something, and how bad it looks when you look at it behind the scene. It's great.
I think that's kind of the coolest thing is you see the chaos that is outside of the scene, and then you also get to see the actual scene on what that chaos is creating.
Yeah. Cords everywhere, so.
And it's maximizing your content, right? Like that's another video that you can get out of, because sometimes video shoots are expensive, right?
Yeah,
like you are bringing a
absolutely.
lot of equipment, time, people on set, and if you can maximize your content and your time, heck yeah, why not?
Yeah, and I think people are kind of craving for that content right now.
Yeah.
I think they want to see that there's people behind what they're watching, and being able to showcase that is, I think, an extra level of trust that you bring almost to your audience.
It's authenticity. We talk a
Yes.
lot about authenticity on this podcast, and now especially with video being AI created, is that the next step? Is AI going to start creating behind the scenes footage of AI videos? Like that would be
The
wild.
BTS of AI, I don't think is going to be very unique, because it's just somebody sitting at a computer.
Right. So Andrew, that really, we're talking about the caboose, right? But at the same time, this all is pointing back to our overall narrative and the creativity that goes into all of these pieces. Do you think that the authenticity and the behind the scenes do speak back to that original narrative?
Absolutely. I think it kind of brings it full circle, and it kind of shows the audience like we're real people, we're creating something, we're being creative on set. These are all the issues or the humps that we had to overcome to create this thing from nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it really brings that like authentic human side to video production.
So at the end of the day, your video is not just going to be one train car, right? It is the full train. There are so many pieces that go into the finished product that you see that you don't even necessarily realize were there.
Absolutely. And you can add as many cars as you want.
And this whole conversation today makes me think of, one particular de novo video that we've done recently that we've won an award for. So I want to transition us into creative briefs. Will you join us for our creative brief section?
Absolutely.
Yes, you're familiar because you've been back here for all of them. But creative briefs is where we dig into an existing marketing campaign, a company, an idea, and we try to glean what insights we can learn from their marketing moves. Mm-hmm. And Jen, you brought a creative brief last time. Do you have an update on the goldfish?
Yeah. So if I'm sure that our listeners are finally attuned to all of our podcasts and are familiar with it. But in case we have a new listener, Goldfish did a promotion in April for Tax Day. And so we all take that snack tax with our kids. Like, oh, I'll hand you this bowl of goldfish, but I'm taking a tax out of it before I give it to you. Fries. It was always the fry tax in our house. So they came up with a pretty clever promotion where they created a website that on tax day, I think at like 4:15 in the afternoon, you could file for a refund on the snack tax. And I think you could get up to like 2 bags of goldfish while supplies last. I think the jury is still out on whether it's successful or not. And I was thinking about this and I did a little research. So last month I noted that like it wasn't, I heard it in a really brief mention on NPR. Yeah. And then I couldn't really find it anywhere else except for what I'd call just sort of obscure media outlets, which I thought was interesting. There wasn't much on the page until 4:15 that afternoon, which was, I think they were going for not only scarcity, but a little bit of mystery with that. Promotion happened. I think they ran out of goldfish, right? Like if that was their goal. So what I'm curious about is, was it a successful promotion or not? So looking at it in retrospect, a month later, there's a whole lot of Instagram videos out there by creators who jumped on it and saw it as a way to potentially, generate some views for themselves.
Be unique almost.
Still really missing, not even like what I'd call top level mentions on media outlets, but I kind of expected something more like at the BuzzFeed level or something like that. Mm-hmm. Really wasn't any of that. But I think about like what were their goals, right? They captured probably a lot of primary information from people who signed up because they gave their information, and then they had like a quick on your tax return fund asking you about your snacking habits. So they probably got a little insight from that. This they're owned by Campbell Soup Company. I don't think this is going to rise to the level where they're going to talk about it in their quarterly earnings report or anything like that. But I think the real test of whether it was successful or not is whether we see it again next year, because they have all the infrastructure built now.
Right.
I would say, I don't know if it was their goal for better visibility. I don't think that they got maybe the true visibility that they need outside of our many listeners on this podcast, I'm sure, who heard about it. But I still just give it an absolute A+ for creativity. Yeah. Like that was great. I hope they do it again next year, and I hope we hear a little bit more about it.
I'd be curious to see if they put how much money they put forward to like the campaign.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there was like a whole campaign, because I didn't know about it until we talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
We can only see what I'd call halo metrics, right? Like we can, there actually is some evidence out there that they had really good website traffic, but it's really hard to tell. And like I said, like, I don't think this is going to be on a quarterly earnings call that we'd learn about it. So I don't know, I thought it was really interesting. And, if they want to sponsor us for more visibility, I mean, that could be also, like that energy drinks. I'm ready to get in bed with Big Energy drink if needed.
You heard it here. Jen loves energy. Big Energy, reach out.
Yeah, Big Energy drinks. I'm your girl. Actually, I've had enough of that I'm not blinking anymore. But yeah, I'm curious if they do it again next year.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I did buy a bag of goldfish. Last time I got Burger King. This time I got not goldfish, the cheddar one. I got the pretzel goldfish. Love those. So it worked on at least one person.
Well, you are a victim of marketing.
Oh, definitely.
All the time.
Definitely.
So very easily impressionable.
So successful campaign when it comes to the goldfish. But many of you, all of you watching right now, and if you're not watching, remember you can watch this wherever you watch your favorite podcast, are curious. What is this box that Ryan has had next to him the entire podcast? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What movie is that? What movie is that?
I don't know. That's
I
why
was
I
going to
haven't
say
seen it.
Blue's Clues.
Also, they've probably said that there as well.
It's a blue box.
As well.
We just figured out blue box.
So for today's creative brief, our new creative brief, I want to chat about a recent award-winning video project that Novo had. And look at that. We've got some hardware for this one. We partnered with our friends at Frontier Co-op to create a video highlighting one of their hiring programs. This one was called Second Chance Hiring. And for this, we didn't want that traditional video, right? And actually, can we pull it up? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
It's like magic.
Technology, I love it. And I'm actually going to sneak out of frame. So we do have a case study on the Novo website that talks a little bit more about this project, but also you can watch the longer form video there as well. We'll put it in the show notes, but it is a great opportunity where we can talk a little bit more about the narrative side of all of these pieces, right? Because it wasn't just hit these points and be done with it. We had the opportunity to go and actually tell an individual's story, but not even tell it, let her tell it, which I think is the magical part here. It was an opportunity for her to get to share and tell her own story, which I think is nice.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect example of what we've been talking about this entire podcast, because it brought all of the components of the train together. And we had to bring all those components together to create this thing. It was a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of storyboarding, a lot of pre-planning, and then day of shooting. And if we didn't utilize all the things from our quote unquote train, then I don't know if it would have been as successful as it is.
And so this was more than just one location too, right? This was, we were at the talent's house, or not talent, we were at the employee's house at one point, right?
Yeah, it was a multiple day shoot. And it was actually at Frontier Co-op.
Okay.
So we filmed in their actual like production warehouse area, and then we shot all of the interview stuff in their like really nice. I think they call it the testing house or something.
Oh, their testing kitchen.
Yeah,
Yes,
their testing kitchen. So it was like a 2-day shoot, 2 full day shoots, and we kind of broke it up between those 2 days. One day it was all about interviews, and then the next day it was all about kind of bringing that story together and getting what we call B-roll. And Alisia, who's the lady here, kind of showcasing like what she does, how she performs her job, and that all just kind of helps show her story in this.
Yeah, and it's not, I think I mentioned this, it's not the business telling her story, right? It's not Frontier telling her story. It is her telling her story, her getting the opportunity to talk about her second chance with the company. So you've got that business goal, but at the end of the day, she is telling her story that relates back to that business goal. Yeah. The narrative there that relates back to the big idea.
And as a major employer, I think it's really important that they are leading in this second chance hiring program. And it's a gorgeous story. It's kind of a tearjerker. I assume we're going to have it in our show notes here. Everybody should watch it, maybe with a couple tissues on hand. So.
Well, and how cool from the client's perspective too, to one, realize that this story is what it is, and then two, come to us and be like, hey, we're trusting you with this baby, and we want you to tell it. Yeah. So that's another component is, we have to be really careful because we're telling somebody's story. This is their life.
This is who they are.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's pretty emotional,
Yeah.
for the person whose story it is too. And that takes a lot to be willing to do that. And also kudos to the team for making her feel comfortable enough to do that.
I remember the day of when we were filming her interview, there was tears crying everywhere because it's such an emotional tug. It's, she's overcoming a ton of stuff and everybody loves an underdog story, right? And she's got like a great underdog story, and now she's like flourishing, and it's a beautiful story.
So what part of the caboose is getting a beautiful trophy and winning first place for an award? What part of the train is that, Andrew?
Maybe we need to add another car to trophies. the trophy car.
The trophy car. We're gonna have to add this. I'm looking around. We're gonna have to update some of our hardware with this one.
No. Still a few spots available in the big shelf. Yeah.
Andrew, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. How is being on this side of the cameras and this side of the microphone?
I don't mind it. We'll see what the final product is. I think we got my face, like we got the good side, so I like it. It was fun. I always like giving people information and helping people learn, because video production it's a beast, and I love teaching it.
I love it.
You do a great job with it.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for the whole analogy today. That was helpful. And I know that our listeners learned something today about video. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Andrew. And remember, friends, if you are subscribed to this on a podcast app, you could also be checking us out on Spotify to watch the video, on YouTube to watch the video, to see the hardware for yourself. And if you know any aspiring videographers, if your company is curious, or if you know somebody whose company is curious about video, send them this podcast and we would be happy to talk. Thanks for listening.
Are we swearing on this or no?